What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of The Bullpen. This guest today is nothing short of clearly a celebrity, but I don't want to call him that because this is actually someone who I've become very, very close to. A friendship that I could not be more grateful for. One of the most kind-hearted and genuine dudes I have ever truly met. This dude I've seen over and over again go above and beyond to help people. But just to kind of give you an idea, this is one of the most successful entrepreneurs you will ever meet in this country. He is literally a TV star on the Discovery Channel, Diesel Brothers, Keaton Hoskins, or known as The Muscle. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to have you on, man.
That was quite an introduction.
Well, dude, here's the thing, man. Most people know you as The Muscle, right? Most people know you for your TV show. Most people know you for a lot of crazy shit, right? But, what I'm so grateful for, what I've gotten to know you for is I've gotten to know you in the space of how much you've given back and how much you've gone above and beyond for people. Dude, I'm going to be honest. I hadn't seen your TV show before I met you.
That's all right, dude. I honestly, this is the truth. When I meet people, I prefer that they've never seen the show and don't even know who I am, because then I can get a good judge of character on how they treat me. Yeah. It's crazy. Going from like just being a normal Joe Blow to being on TV and then being semi-famous, how people treat you. Yeah. And dude, it's hard to swallow. It's hard to see people treat you differently because you're on TV. Right. And so now when I interact with people, I really prefer that they don't have a clue who I am, because I want them to treat me like I'm a regular person. Yeah. And if they're a shitbag and they treat me like a shitbag and then they find out later that I'm famous, it always changes. And I already know who that person is. Right. So that's why when people are like, I haven't watched your show, I'm like, good. I don't want to be that person. It's like, oh, dude, I love your show. You know? Anyways. Well, no, it's true. Because, like, dude, you and me have had this conversation, and we're going to dive deep into so much shit on this episode. Like, I'm so excited to just talk to you about all this stuff, because we've had some pretty fucking deep conversations, right? Yeah. But, dude, like, just come back. Like, that's, like, when I asked you how I want to introduce you, like, I want people to understand, like, how I've met you is literally by seeing you in regards of, like, how much you've given to other people and how active you are in finding ways to help people. And dude, and me myself, right? Yeah. And I've told you this before. I'm like, the way you've become such a close friend to me, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Because yes, he's a celebrity, but at the same time, I'm like, this is one of the most down-to-earth, genuine dudes I have ever fucking met in my life. And me and my wife are super grateful to know you guys. Yeah. And that's why it's so incredible. I want everyone to know that about you if they don't already know that. But dude, at the end of the day, man, like, okay, you accomplished a lot of shit, right? But bro, where did this fucking come from, right? What's your story? Because people don't know how big of an entrepreneur you've been. Yeah. They obviously know about the TV show, but like I say this over and over, where does that fucking come from? You know, there's a story behind that. There's stuff that happened in your life that led you to this point. So, dude, like, what's your story, man? You know what? So first, I appreciate it, dude. That's I like the kind words. We did meet. We met at the $1,000 tip club, right?
And
then we just kind of hit it off.
We're talking about trucks.
Which is like my thing, like my favorite thing to do. I have a few companies and I do a lot of things, and one of the things I do is I have a TV show, but I genuinely enjoy building shit. And so I like to talk with other people that want me to build shit or want to build shit with me. Right. So that's actually how we met. That's right. But dude, my story is kind of it's fairly simple in how I got to where I'm at. It's not ordinary by any means, but when I was 19, I went on an LDS mission. I was a missionary. I was the oldest of 5 kids, and my father at the time, he was really, really sick. And we grew up with like always knowing my dad wasn't going to live for a long time.
Oh, you always knew that?
We always knew. Like,
do you mind if I ask why? Like, why was he so sick?
So he had cancer a few times. He was a diabetic. And then he also got to a point in his life where every time he got sick, he got really, really sick. Like even the common cold, he got really, really sick. His immune system was shot. Geez, so he actually had 2 kidney transplants. Oh. And anytime you have a transplant, your body fights that, right? And so you have to take immunosuppressants. And essentially, he got to a point where everything that hit him just hit him like a ton of bricks. So when I went on my mission, I always thought in the back of my mind, like, I may not see my dad again, you know? And while we were growing up, my dad dad was hardcore. Like he was just a tough dude. He was in your face. He was straightforward, but he was corporate America.
Oh, he was corporate. Okay.
Hardcore corporate.
Okay, I was going to ask you, did you grow up country? Because your country's hell.
Yeah. So he was corporate America.
Interesting.
He had his MBA. He had, all kinds of degrees. He was huge in school. So was my mom. My mom went to nursing school. And all growing up, my dad used to preach to us, like, you got to go to school. You got to get your degree. You got to work for a good company. You got to save. You got to retire.
The typical message.
Typical shit.
Yeah, right.
And then his explanation behind it to us boys, there was 4 of us, was it's security. Right? Like security.
Yeah.
So we grew up, and as we got older, obviously, and he got more sick, we realized even as the CEO of his company, he didn't really have security, and we didn't know what that was. We didn't understand those things, but I went on my mission. I came home, and luckily he was still alive. And to be honest with you, to this day, I firmly believe that he chose to stay alive long enough for me when I got home. Yeah. And then obviously 3 months after I got home, he passed away.
Jeez.
And I watched as his company, who he was the CEO of, just let him go like he was nothing, like, hey, we're done with you. There's no reason for us to have you. And all of my brothers watched it. And we watched this man that preached to us security and could do 110% for a company and get your degree and all of this shit just go by the wayside. Like every single one of us were like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. All he did was preach security, 401k, 9 to 5, bust your ass.
Yes.
And it's funny, man. I got home and I legitimately planned on being a doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I could never picture you.
Yeah. So I got home from my mission, and I was crazy smart. So on my mission, I memorized the Bible, the whole Bible, word for word. And then I started to memorize the Book of Mormon. And I was like, there's no reason for this. I only need to know the Bible, you know? And so because of that, I learned how to study and how to learn as quickly as possible. So when I got back from my mission, I was like, I want to be a doctor. I want to go in and change people like my dad's situation. And that in the back of my mind, that was my whole thing. So I started to go to school. I started to work. I was working 3 jobs to pay for school. I was going to work, school, work, and then back to school. There was nights I didn't sleep, and I was just going crazy.
And how old were you?
So I was 21.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind, didn't you play football at the next level?
I did.
This was all while you were playing some.
This is before. So I played before my mission. Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Went down to Snow College.
Okay.
And played. Got in a ton of trouble down there, and then actually came back and went on my mission. And then when I got back, I went to the U of U.
Right, that's what I was going to ask you. Okay.
And that is where I was planning on doing medical school.
Because that's one of the best medical schools in the country.
Absolutely. And so I started in pre-med, and then immediately started working for the deans of admission for the medical program at the U of U.
Oh, wow.
I worked in this late night neonatology research lab, doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Shit.
Really cool research. And anyways, as I watched my dad die, I thought, man, this just doesn't make any sense. And I immediately started working as a personal trainer too. That was one of my jobs. And I started selling personal training in that gym, and I started to see a lot of money come in. And for a 21-year-old that came back from a mission that had $100 in his pocket, legitimately, dude, right. I had $107. I still remember $107 in my bank account when I got home. And when my dad died, nobody got any money because he was sick. So there wasn't really any health insurance or insurance, So we watched my dad. I watched the 9 to 5. I did the whole thing. I went to pre-med. I did that. And I started to talk to doctors as much as I could. And every doctor said the same thing. If you're doing this for the money, don't do it. It sucks. It's not worth it. And I started to get this doesn't make any sense. So I was working at a gym. I was doing personal training, and I started to see a good amount of money come in, dude. I was seeing $5, $6, $7 a month come in. And dude, to a 21-year-old back in 2000, that was good money.
Big time.
And then immediately I started to help the gym grow itself.
You immediately got involved.
I got involved in management, and I got into growing and actually starting the gyms. The gyms at the time were called Crossroads Fitnesses, and they were all over Utah.
Those are still here.
No, they went out of business.
Are they not?
Yeah.
I think I've seen those before though, right?
Now they may have sold the franchise itself to like people, but essentially they got closed.
Because I was about to say, I thought I saw Crossroads at one point.
I think we started 5 gyms.
Was any of them down in like Utah Valley area, like Linden?
Yeah, I think
area?
we had one in Linden.
Okay, that's the one. Okay, I think I saw that one.
So anyway, I did that, and then in the midst of that, I started meeting with the owner and saying, if I'm helping you, I want a piece of the pie. Of
course.
Immediately, dude. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, I don't give a shit about going to be a doctor. I want to make money. That was it, dude. Yeah. That's all I wanted to do. And watching my dad, I was like, I'm not going to work for somebody. I want to own a company. So immediately out of the gates, I went from being a personal trainer to being the personal trainer and manager to being the gym manager to then opening gyms all over the Wasatch Front. And in that, I just said, I want to get paid and I want to take ownership. And within really quickly, the gym owner ended up firing me before I was vested.
Naturally.
Before I was vested any interest in what I had built with him. So I was 22. I had just gotten married. I had just bought my first house, and my wife at the time was pregnant. She didn't have a job. And I remember coming home like with my back against the wall and thinking, dude, how the hell am I going to provide for my family? And how do I make sure this shit never happens again? And I sat down and I was like, all right, man, let's do what I know. And I knew personal training, right? So I literally, I jump into this like entrepreneurial mindset of, you got to build it. You want it. You got to build it. Right. Period. End of story. Yes. Like at the end of the day, if you fucking want it, you have to build it.
Yes.
Nobody is going to come and save you.
Amen.
And I realized that really quickly, dude. I just got fired from this empire of building gyms and I had nothing, dude.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Everything.
That shit. Yeah.
And my brand new baby on the way, my wife with no job, our brand new house. And I thought, you know what, dude? I'm not only going to build it, I'm going to build it bigger than the gym. And I'm going to take people from the gym. And I'm going to take from the gym what I built. So I started recruiting personal trainers from the gyms. And I said to them, hey, you come work for me, I'll pay you better. And you don't have to go to the gym anymore. I'm going to start a company where you go to people's houses and you train them in their houses. You're going to have kettlebells, Bosu balls, bands, all that other shit.
Yeah.
And every one of the trainers that joined me was like, dude, I've watched Keaton grow and build the program in the gym. Yeah. I think he can do it outside of the gym. Dude, and they came and they just kind of had faith in me. So I literally immediately started growing. And dude, I was going to people's houses like, hey, you have a personal trainer with the gym, cancel your membership, cancel your gym membership and your training. We're going to train you in your house. You want to see us 3 times a week or 6 times a week. Yeah. And I just started selling people. And then all of a sudden I had 3, 4, 5, 6 trainers working for me full time, from 5 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. And it was simple, dude. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Yeah. I was literally having the trainers take payments from them, give me the payments, book it all, and then pay them out, dude. It was nuts. But immediately I started to see like $30, $40, $50,000. And I was paying trainers 30, 40% of that. And I was taking the rest.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, dude, this is like real. And then I was like, I can do whatever I want. In this model, I can do whatever I want. So we started to do that and we became really successful. I mean, dude, I think there was a time that I had 300 to 500 clients that we were going to their house, training them in their house. They were paying anywhere from $400 to $1,000 a month.
That's insane.
Dude, it was insane. And to this day, I still don't know if I've seen that much cash.
Yeah.
And I had a safe in my room and I was stacking cash. And then all of a sudden, this gym down the street from the one that I got fired from came up for sale. And I was like, I'm buying it. And I'm bringing my in-home training to the gym. And I came in, it was this old gentleman. And he said, I'll sell you 50%. I still am going to own the gym and I want to own the building, but I'll sell you 50% of the gym and 50% of the building. So being stupid and young, 24, making good money, I brought it in. The gym was upside down like 70 grand a month. Well, guess what? When I bring all my stuff in, that flips the gym.
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
So I came in, I busted ass for like 2 years. I never really made any money. And then my partner at the time, the same guy, started accusing me of not doing what he wanted. And I was like, wait a
you mean
second.
you mean the gym that was upside down that he had to sell, not doing what he wanted, where you're pulling out. Okay, all right, that makes sense.
So yeah, it was crazy. So I got back into this place where I was like, why do I feel like I'm working for somebody again?
Right.
I wasn't. He was a partner, but dude, I was a 24-year-old. He was a multi-millionaire. The guy had $50-60 million to his name.
Jeez.
I had nothing.
For a gym owner?
No. He had done real estate and done other things.
That makes sense. Okay.
The gym was just one piece of something he was doing. And he saw me as this dumb, gullible kid. He had me sign some stuff that was totally fake. And to this day, dude, I'll still tell you, if I ever saw that guy to his face, I would tell him he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because instead of taking me under his wing as he should have, he found like he needed to compete with me. And then he got to a point of like holding me back. And I got in that point, I was like, dude, I can't really be with anybody until I know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
And I didn't, dude. I was 24 years old.
Right.
So I ended up selling out of that gym. And in the interim of doing that, I went and I got my teeth worked on at a dental office. I hadn't been to the dentist for eight years. I've been paying insurance.
Who needs dentists?
Stupid. I go in there, no cavities, no nothing. And they go, hey, it's $400. And I'm like, what? I've been paying dental insurance for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I have no problems. And I come in one time in 8 years and I got to pay $400. And I was like, wait a second. I think I can take personal training, this idea of monthly payments, and take it to everything in the world. So I went into the dentist and I was like, hey man, how would you like to be a dentist for me? You clock in and clock out. I'll do the rest. And instead of messing with...
Okay, how old are you at this point?
I was 25. 24.
Okay, so
I was 24.
You're 24 pitching dentists on how to work for you.
Dude, and the dentist I pitched, he was a total stud.
Yeah.
Very well off, making $500,000 a year. And I literally was like, dude, let us try this. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer dental care first. And then when we tell people what they need, we're going to come back and bill them monthly over the year rather than tell them they need insurance and tell them to come in and then find out they need help. You know, one thing that if people don't know, dental insurance is total bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah.
Like you get $2,500 and that's it. And if it goes above that, you have to pay for it. It's just total bullshit. Right. So I went into him and I said, dude, let me sell programs to people. Like this guy needs 10 teeth removed and fixed. His plan is 10 grand. I'm going to sit down with him. I'm going to have him sign a contract that says over 12 months, you're going to pay $900 a month. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, man, let's try it. And dude, and then I just went to work. Like I started bringing people in. I started selling. I started signing contracts. Yeah. My brothers at the time were like, dude, this is crazy. They were with me. Yeah. And they had seen what we had done in the gym. And my brothers started throwing all these ideas in like, dude, we should do this. We should do this. And dude, it started to do really well. We brought in a ton of people. Yeah. And then in the interim of that, I went and I had my wife at the time. We had our first kid. She had breast augmentation.
Of course.
And while we were there, the doctor was like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. I started a gym.
That's one of the hardest questions for any entrepreneur to answer.
It really is, dude. So I literally tell him, well, this is what I'm doing. And I told him about the dental office. And he's like, God, I think we could do that here. And I was like, let's do it, man. Yeah. So then we started a plastic surgery clinic. In fact, the plastic surgery clinic was across the street from where we first met.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just literally across the street.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So then we did that, and then I had started. I just started starting companies. Like I started an online training company. We started an energy drink company, and then by the time I think when I was 25 is when we started filming the show. Yeah. And I was helping Dave build Diesel Sellers at the time, which is now Diesel Brothers. And dude, I just started doing things that I wanted to do that I saw needs for. That was it. Yeah. Like same thing, dude. And this is crazy. The dental office is done and gone. It was sold out and it was good. My brothers actually bought me out pretty quickly because I was so focused on filming. But the plastic surgery clinic is actually still going. And it's one of the only plastic surgery clinics in Utah that finances people to get a breast augmentation.
Still?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you have all these young girls come in that don't have credit, that don't have credit cards, and you say, hey, it's $1,000 down, it's $399 a month, and we're going to finance you out for 15 months. So really all I did was I took a normal business model and I started doing financing with it. And we killed it. Yeah, we did, dude. It was crazy. We did like 50 breast augmentations our first 3 months. It was crazy. So in the interim of all of those things, that's when I kind of fell in love with, one, never being underneath somebody.
Yeah, right.
But two, like, dude, I feel like I can do anything.
Yeah.
And if I'm passionate enough about it and there's a need for it, like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
And then when I believe when I sold out of the plastic surgery clinic, I sold out of the dental office. I started One Mission Nutrition, which is the supplement company that I own.
It's going to be huge. Yeah.
And just started doing other things. So now, like, every year I start anywhere from 2 to 4 companies. That seems to be the rate.
Yeah.
The last 4 years I've started 2 to 4 companies a year, and I just do it because
you build shit.
Yeah, I just like to build shit. and dude, even if I don't ever take money from some of the companies, it's kind of a chip on my shoulder now to have something that grows and gets built and starts as nothing. And I really, really enjoy this. I know this is kind of crazy for some people, especially if they're listening and they're wondering, like, how do you do this? I never, ever to this day have spent more than $7,500 to start a company. Never. Plastic surgery clinic, dental office, energy drink company, One Mission Nutrition.
Wow,
dude. I mean, never. I mean, dude, we launched a hormone therapy clinic called Mana. Dude, I think our initial investment was $3,200.
What?
That's what I'm saying. So, like, when people come and they're like, well, you need money to make money, that's not necessarily true. Now, money does compound and make things go faster and better and smoother.
Right.
But you don't need money to make money. You really don't. You've got to learn, ins and outs of making deals and doing things. Dude, when I was a 24-year-old kid and I walked into a dental office, you think that dentist gave a shit about the $25,000 I was going to offer?
Right.
No.
Right.
I came to him with an idea, and he luckily was like, God, this is a killer idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So in a big roundabout way, that's my story. Like, I really, really, in the very beginning, saw the treatment of a 9 to 5 to my father.
Yeah.
It kicked him in the dick. He ended up dying, and then every one of my brothers kind of followed suit. They saw the same thing I did.
Yeah.
None of my brothers have been to college. Every single one of them own a company. They own a really successful truck company in Bountiful called Hoskins Truck, our last name. And they all kill it. Yeah. And every one of them are like me, where it's like, dude, we just don't want to work for anybody because we watched it to our father.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, I would say we kind of all have that same story. It's like, dude, there wasn't another choice. Entrepreneur was the only choice.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, especially for people that are listening that are like, well, am I an entrepreneur or can I be an entrepreneur? Man, I think sometimes people are born to be something, and all I know is I was born to never be able to work for somebody else.
Right, you are unemployable.
And so the only other option is an entrepreneur.
Yes. Right.
So,
dude, there's so much to unpack in there. Like, there's so many things, but if there's one, like, let me just say one thing on that before I ask you a load of questions, right? Is what you just said about that security thing is the greatest lie ever told to anyone in the history of the world. I don't even mean entrepreneurs. The pitch that comes from tyrants in any country, the pitch that comes from monarchs, kings, queens, the pitch that comes from, the government, the pitch that's taught in society is security. Once you give this to us, we will then give you back in return security. Once you work for us, once you have a job, I will give you security.
Yeah.
It is the biggest fallacy ever told because there is no fucking security but your own security. I don't care who it is. You cannot rely on anyone else but you. Yeah. There's only one thing in your control. You cannot control what happens in anyone else's life. You cannot control their decisions or whatever they want to be. There's only one thing you can control, and that's fucking you.
Yeah.
And that's the only security there is. That's why we as human beings, when we say the word freedom, it sends a chill down our spine because it brings up this entrepreneur, but even better, this king inside of us says, fuck yeah, I'm going to be free. I'm the master. I'm the one who's in charge. And it's the second you have someone else in charge of your life is the second you lose all security.
Yeah.
There is no security. I don't care what promises are told to you, right? Dude, so like when you're saying, like if everyone just understood that, the only bet you can always count on is betting on yourself.
No, dude, absolutely. Like the thing, and this is such a cliche because you hear it all the time, but I always see the picture of the lion in the cage and the lion in roaming.
Yes, right.
And the truth is like if you want security, what you're really doing is you're going to give up freedoms, right? Like that's what it's going to happen.
That's the great trade.
And it is a sense security, but it's a very construed type of security. And the truth is, like, dude, if you want someone to take care of you and you don't want to have freedoms and you want to sit in the cage and be hand fed, told what to do, when to sleep, how to do things. There is some kind of sense of security of that. And a lot of our parents and that generation got told and sold that lie.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to teach and sell us.
Right.
And I think this newer generation is like, no, fuck that. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I've always said this, and I think sometimes it actually has happened, but I would rather sink on my own boat than I would sail on somebody else's boat being a captain.
Love it.
I mean, that's the truth, man.
Yeah, right.
Sink my ship by myself before I let you captain mine.
Yes.
I mean, that's the truth. And watching what I watched when I was younger, as hard as it was, it taught me at the end of the day, no one's coming for you. No one gives a shit. They don't, dude. And even if they do, most people can't do anything.
Right.
Like, dude, at the end of the day, if something happens to me or if something happens and I lose everything, I love my family, I love my friends, but no one's coming up to pay my mortgage and make sure my kids eat and make sure my wife is taken care of.
Right.
Now, they might help and support and love, but dude, you are the captain of your own shit, and no one, and absolutely no one, is coming to save you.
Yes.
It's not happening.
Dude, that I don't know if you know anything about my story, but like when me being bullied as a kid, when my entire life changed was the moment that my dad literally said those exact words. Was when he said, no one's fucking coming to save you. Yeah. The second you get that through your head is the second you realize you don't need anyone to save you. You can save you. You can be the hero of your own tale. You can fucking make it happen because you're a human being. There's a eternal engine inside of you that doesn't give up, that doesn't have a stopping point. Just fucking go, right? Dude, like I'm getting chills. I love it, man. And like here, okay. Now let me dive into your story a little bit. Let me ask you some questions here. First and foremost, you went from being an entrepreneur with like dental stuff, with like physical training, and even like a lot of medical stuff, right? Yeah. Then all of a sudden you became the muscle and Diesel Brothers, bro. That is two completely different industries.
Absolutely.
How the hell did that happen?
So dude, from the very beginning, the only thing I really loved to do was build trucks. Like, dude, even when I was 16, my first vehicle was a Bronco and I loved it, dude. I cut the exhaust off. I ripped the hood off. I repainted it. I did all kinds of stuff. And I like to take vehicles and modify them. Like, I just like to do that.
Yeah, and you're good at it.
and I did that all the way through. Yeah. And then I actually grew up with Diesel Dave. And when I got back from my mission, of course, we had reconnected. We had played rugby together and all these things. And him and Heavy D were doing the company now known as Diesel Brothers. It was called Diesel Sellers. They were essentially building trucks and they were giving them away for free. And the way to enter their giveaways was to buy clothing from them.
It's genius business model.
And dude, and honestly, and I don't just say this, Heavy D was the pioneer of that. Like, he is the pioneer of giveaway models. He was the first one that I ever saw for social media doing a giveaway model, dude, and it killed it. And so I connected with them really quickly. I was like, you guys are building trucks, I'm building trucks. I'm just doing it for fun. You guys are doing it for your company. And Heavy D and I hit it off immediately. Like, we both like to build shit and our styles are very different, but we still like to build shit. So literally we started growing this company, Diesel Sellers. And within about a year and a half, we became so famous. Diesel Dave ended up on the Jay Leno show. And on the Jay Leno show, the Discovery Channel saw us and they came out and they were like, we want to do a show with you. And of course we were like, nah, we don't want to do one. We're killing it in our giveaway model. Heavy D was, he prides himself like he didn't just give in to them. Like everybody's like, oh, well, they came to me and wanted a reality show, so I jumped in. He didn't. He was like, no, I don't want to do that. After a few months of going back and forth, finally we were like, yeah, come out. And we just did some crazy shit with them and they took it back, and Discovery was like, we love these guys. Let's do a show. And in the mix of all of that, we were growing on social media. And one of our
this is the pinnacle of growth of any social media.
Yes, because it was in 2012. That's when Facebook kind of started to hit, and that was the beginning. MySpace wasn't really a thing.
It wasn't like that. No,
but Facebook became something huge, right? And so we started growing. We started doing these stupid skits on Facebook that made our pages grow, which in turn made our giveaways bigger. And when we did those skits, that's when Jay Leno saw, and then we ended up doing the show. And immediately I was helping Dave and Dave grow the company. So the first season, they were like, we don't really know what your job is here. We know you're helping grow the company, and we know you like to build stuff, so we're going to make you the parts guy. I was like, I don't give a shit, man. I just want to do the show, So the first 2 seasons, we did the show, and, obviously Diesel Dave named me the Muscle. And it's fitting. We became, these characters. You have Diesel Dave, the Muscle, and Heavy D. And then we started shooting, and our first season was the #1 premiered show ever on Discovery Channel, which is a big deal because Discovery Channel is the biggest network in the world.
Well, I was about to say, like we're talking like Steve Irwin shit, like on Discovery, right?
Yeah, we were bigger than everybody.
What the fuck?
And the reason is because we were so big already on social media that we announced, we commercialed ourselves. Like we showed people who we were, and then we were like, hey guys, we have a TV show coming out. People watch our TV show, and our season premiere killed it. And Discovery fell in love with it, and ever since then, obviously we filmed the show and have been filming the show. But the truth is, I don't have anything to do with Diesel Brothers. Like, I'm not a part of that anymore. I was only there for the first year or two to help grow the company, and then ended up on the show.
And you've been on the show since.
Yeah, and I've been on the show since. And Discovery at like season 3, when I left Diesel Brothers, like done working there, the Discovery Channel was like, well, great, but you're still on the show, and you're still going to be the parts guy on the show. So then I went from like working there, growing the company, helping those guys, to having nothing to do with it and only filming. And essentially that's my role now, is like I just am there as the parts guy to help build the trucks, you know. And if you watch the show, essentially the only 2 people that even build anything is Heavy D and myself. And I'm the parts guy, quote unquote, on the actual show. But then, ever since then I've been filming.
It's funny because I actually thought, I think a lot of people also thought, hence the name Diesel Brothers, you guys were all brothers.
Yeah, everybody thinks
naturally,
that.
Right?
Dude, they ask us every time we would go anywhere. People were always like, God, it's so weird. You guys are famous together as brothers.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we're not really brothers. We've been friends for a really long time.
Together.
We did. Diesel Dave and I were friends from like 7th grade.
Oh, wow.
And I've known Heavy D
and he had a beard then too.
Yeah, seriously. No, and I've known Heavy D for now 10 years. And we legitimately are best friends, all of us. Like, we hang out together. We do shit together. And now that we're kind of veering, Heavy D's kind of moving into YouTube. Not something that I want to do, or at least not right now, because I'm kind of tired of cameras. I'm not sure where the show is going to be, but we'll have our new season that should be airing, I think, in April. And I think it's going to kill it. Like it always has. I think it's going to do really, really well.
I mean, obviously it's going to kill. I mean, he's been killing it for the past however many years.
Yeah, this will be I think this is season 7 or 8.
Well, I'm actually curious. I want to get back to your story, but I'm actually curious about this. With the huge changes coming to like, vehicles, like gas powered vehicles and diesel, and now also we're going to electric vehicles. Does that have an effect on the show at all?
No, not really.
So because now you got the Ford Lightning.
Well, no, yeah.
Like, what do you do with that?
Like new stuff. I think everything's always going to want to be modified.
Right. Yeah.
It's human nature to take something and make it our own. That's why you can go into a house and in 10 years the house has changed because they made it their own.
Yeah.
The vehicles are always going to be modified. How they're modified, when they're modified, at what rate, all of those things may change, but everything's always going to want to be modified. I mean, dude, even take you. Like, you bought your wife an RS7. Did you just leave it? No. you brought it to me so we could get it wrapped and do some other. We're gonna tune it.
Right.
Yeah, like you want to modify stuff, and that's what I love to do more than, dude. If I was poor and I had no money, I would still be trying to figure out how I can modify a vehicle.
Yeah.
Because that's what I like to do.
It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I get to do it now for friends and clients and do it on a much bigger level and just see these crazy masterpieces.
Oh, dude, talking about masterpiece, like you did my truck. Any of you have seen my truck? It is the most gorgeous truck I have ever fucking seen in my entire life.
So great.
And I told you this, like I had a vision for what it was going to be. And there's very few things you can say like, oh, this is what I envisioned. This is what I like wanted and always, dreamed of. And then you show up and it's better than when you envisioned. That's an exciting fucking day.
Dude, it was that. And dude, even now I still get messages every day when you're driving, people messaging me like, dude, this truck is so, because they see you, out and about driving.
Right. Yeah.
Dude, that's what I like to do now. It's not even for myself anymore. Right. I really enjoy taking someone's vision and going, let me paint it, and I'm going to show you what I think we can do.
Yeah. And
bringing it back and showing them, dude, that's what I love.
Yeah.
Because it's building.
Well, let me ask you this then. And now I want to kind of pivot back to your story here because you're mentioning your first wife, right? Uh-huh. And what people actually understand, well, if they follow you, they see one of the things on your thing is the divorce handbook.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even know that about you, right? Yeah. And so I'm actually curious, what is the divorce handbook? Why did you want to write that? That's very unique, right? That's also very open.
Yeah.
Right? So like where did that come from? If you don't mind me asking.
My first wife, wonderful girl. Really great with my two daughters that I have. Mm-hmm. I had an affair with somebody and just destroyed my first marriage, and I really did a lot of damage both to myself and to her and obviously my children. I mean, that's just what happens.
Right.
And the reality of what that was and what it did to me never really struck me until I had been single for a while and I had dated and I realized that the pain and frustration and all the shit I was doing, I was bringing into other things. And someone said to me, you should think about just writing your thoughts down on paper. And then I would always make these posts that would just go crazy viral about how much I appreciated or how much I took care of my ex-wife.
Which is so rare.
It is.
To have a separation in something like this, like marriage, and to still be able to maintain a good relationship. That's both of you taking your egos aside and putting together and just coming together. Like that's rare. Like that's difficult.
See, and I didn't know that when I did what I did. I thought I knew that divorce was hard and everything, but I thought that people came back together. And when people would see me, I take really good financial care of my ex-wife above and beyond whatever contract has ever been written.
Right.
I pay for everything for my children. I just do. And I always will. And there's times that we argue and fight and she says some things and whatever. Sure. No matter what happens, I'm always going to financially take care of her. It's just what I'm going to do. But I didn't know that was like special or rare.
It is. Yeah.
And I started to get a lot of ex-wives come to me and be like, man, I wish my ex-husband was like that. I wish you could give him advice. I wish you could help him. And so I started to hear that and I started to see like, man, I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know that I hold to some principles, some core principles. And I know I made mistakes and I know I messed up and the divorce is my fault. And even saying that, people would be like, wow, you really have your shit together. If all you do is say that it's your fault, something must be clicking that doesn't click with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I realize like when people get divorced, what do? They blame. They blame.
Right.
They victim mentality and they blame.
Well, it's their ego, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it takes some serious courage to put it out there like that to the world because you know how mean and nasty people can be, right?
For sure.
You have to be real secure in who you are and honestly have your ego in check to be able to not only put it out there to help people like that, but to own up to that shit, right? Yeah. Sorry, keep going. I just want to kind of point that out. That's incredible.
So I got to a place where what's it called when you I can't think of the word when you speak positive to yourself. Positive affirmation, positive affirmations. So I always heard people talk about positive affirmations, and I kind of was different because I don't want positive affirmations. I want real affirmations. So I used to sit in front of a mirror and I would say, "You're your fucking problem. You're the fucking problem. You did this, whether it's good or bad, you did this and you need to accept it. And I started to do that a lot until I grasp it. Like in my soul was like, this is my fault. Whether I'm successful or bad or good or shitty, it's my fucking fault. So I started to do that. And then I started to call it my war with myself. Like I was always like, all right, it's time to go to war with myself.
Shit.
Yeah, dude. I started to like, all right, it's time to go to war with myself. I got to spend some time in the mirror telling myself like, bro, you're your problem. Stop fucking making excuses. So when I decided like, dude, I want to write a book about divorce, I realized that I really didn't want to write a book about divorce. I wanted to do two things. I wanted to heal, and I knew that writing it would help me heal, but I also wanted to teach people to take extreme ownership and accountability, you know, which there's a book about that, a great book.
Jocko.
Yeah. And all I did was I labeled it the Divorce Handbook, but the truth is it's nothing but a self-help book that helps you to realize that you're your fucking problem. And dude, there's some shit in the book that I think really offends people. Like in one of the chapters, I talk about that if you're getting cheated on, it's your fucking fault. And I know a lot of women hear that and they're like, what do you mean? My husband's cheating on me? It's my fault?
Yeah.
It is your fault. It is.
Wow.
Because the reality is if you're not setting boundaries and you're not in yourself enough in your own insecurities to say, this is unacceptable, this shouldn't be happening. And you know what? If you don't want to fucking be with me, don't fucking be with me. Get out. You're your fucking problem. And that's kind of what the whole book is at the end of the day, like you have to go to war with yourself to get out of your own mind that anybody else is the fucking problem. You are your own problem. And every single day, if you can accept that everything you do is your choice and your problem, you can fucking fix anything. Anything, any relationship, any business deal, any goal, anything you want to do in your life, you can do, but you have to look at yourself and realize that it's fucking on you and stop blaming everybody else. And that's what the whole book is about. So I did this book and I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to sell one copy, but I want to write this. And at the end of every single chapter, I don't know if I'll get you a copy of the book. At the end of every chapter, it's not just like, hey, bro, here's a chapter of some cool shit. I have a challenge at the end of each chapter. And there's some hard fucking challenges in there. One of the challenges is you got to write a letter to your ex. Which is hard for a lot of people. Tough. You know, a lot of people don't talk. And every chapter, I think there's like 10 or 11 chapters. Every chapter has a challenge. Because I'm like, listen, man, this book is not really about divorce. It's about my divorce, but it's more about getting someone to become something better by realizing that they're in their own fucking way, you know? And in the book, same thing. If you cheated, it's your fault. If you got cheated on, it's your fault. If you had a shitty relationship, it's your fault. If they left you, it's your fault. Everything is your fault. And when you can accept that in the mirror and go to war with the fact that you don't want to accept it, then you can actually change. And that's what the entire book is literally about, is progressing and changing and becoming something better.
Dude, that fucking gave me chills, bro. Like, fuck, bro. I mean, like, that is the message that my generation, and I think any generation, needs more than anything. Yeah. Because what, like the positive affirmation stuff, dude, no, sometimes you just need a fucking reality check. Yeah. Sometimes you just need some real hard shit. Yeah. Right? Honestly, a lot of times we do like that. I believe in positive affirmations, but I think we've taken it so far that we are so afraid of just getting real.
The reality.
Just get real with that. Life's hard, man.
So listen, I don't know how many people watch this or listen to your podcast, but for everybody that's listening,
millions.
Stop what you're doing right now and just say to yourself out loud, I'm my own fucking problem. I am here because of myself. And then internalize that. It's really easy to say, but then internalize it. And I can guarantee you people listening to this right now are saying, well, no, it's Debbie's fault. It's Eric's fault. He did this to me. No matter what it is, and I'm telling you right now, that's your mind that you got to go to war with. Like at the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror and be real with yourself. And dude, don't get me wrong. I think positive affirmations are great. But But man, I think real affirmations are way better. Like get real with yourself. And if you could get out of your body and look at yourself and tell yourself like, hey man, here's my advice. You're your fucking problem, man. You're fat because of what you eat. You are a piece of shit because you lay around all day long. You have shitty relationships because what you do, not because of anybody else. And you are where you are because of the sum total of your decisions. And if you want to change, fucking grasp that. Cling to that, and then take ownership and accountability to it and go, all right, man, that means I want to have a good relationship. I'm in charge. Period. End of story.
Dude, let me ask you this. Do you think people realize how much like fire, like you're spitting right? Like people, like I'm serious, like people know you as like the diesel, like the diesel guy, like the muscle, like the trucks and everything. But like, I'm sitting here listening to you. Dude, I knew you were like successful and an entrepreneur. I knew you're fire. I've listened to you and you get me pumped. But I'm sitting here like, bro, why? I need to hear more of this shit from you. Like, I know you don't put it out there all the time, or like, we've talked about coaching a little bit. But like,
So
do people know there's fire that's in fucking inside you, bro?
So I only put out what I want people to think. And somebody told me a long time ago, it's better to be the dumb one in a room. And in so many ways. And I would prefer that people think that I'm a big dumb. I prefer it, dude. And when I say that, that's a lot of times what I put out. Like, dude, if you look at my social media, it looks like some guy that loves his kids that has a truck or whatever that builds crazy shit, whatever.
Like a fucking mansion on
but
the
mountain. But the truth is, like, I started to do a podcast forever ago. In fact, when I relaunch, I'm going to have you out. And in my podcast, I thought about the name of my podcast forever. I was like, how the fuck am I going to stand out? I've only done like 6 or 7 episodes, but dude, even to this day, I don't think I've done a podcast for probably 2 or 3 years. I have people that are like, dude, I listened to your podcast and it changed my life. My podcast is called Becoming, right? And the reason I did that is because you're always becoming something, whether it's good or bad. You're always becoming more of a piece of shit or you're becoming a better person, right? And my whole philosophy now, since I've been able to find some success, is I want to help people to realize, like, dude, you're your own fucking problem. And if you want to become something greater, you got to accept that you are the reason. And in that, there's so many things, right? But like at the end of the day, you're your fucking problem. You need to take accountability. And then you have the ability to do whatever you want. We both were missionaries. I still cling to the principles of the church, you know.
Yeah.
And one of the principles that I cling to hard is that God is our Father, right? And if he's our Father, what does that mean? I know as a father that I want my children to possess what I possess and even greater. And I know that they can be greater than me if I just give them my education and teach them as much as I possibly can, that one day they can be greater than me. So if that's a real principle, which I believe it is, that means that I have the ability to do whatever I want to do in this life. And if that is the case, it has to start with no one else but me. And if I can accept that I have the ability to do everything and it's my choice, I can really do anything that I want to do in this world, anything. And if there isn't another message that I want people to get, it's that message. In fact, when we do the AlphaCon, my message is going to be that. Is going to be something very similar to teaching people like, bro, you have the ability to do and be whatever you want, but you have to accept it. And then when you accept it, you got to take the steps to do it. And that comes back to what this whole conversation's been about, fucking accountable to you and your own shit.
Okay, so now I've got, dude, we could talk forever. Like, there's so much shit to unpack here, bro. But like, 2 things. One, what makes, why do you want to help people so bad? Because that's how I met you. That's the light I've seen you in, and just constantly finding ways to help people. And now I'm listening to you about writing your book and about, you doing all this stuff. I'm like, dude, a lot of the shit that you've done in your life has been on the premise of, I want to help people, right? Yeah. So, there's look, you've had success in ways where like, you don't have to be out there helping people. You could have success, be a TV star, meet with celebrities and do all that stuff. And you don't have to give a shit about anybody else because you can have success without that, right?
Yeah.
But then you're pivoting over here and you're constantly doing these things of, I want to help these dudes. Like, I want to help these dudes out here. I want to help people and this. Like, I want to help my family. Like, you're always in that mindset. And like, where does that come from? And then I actually want to touch a little bit about the church a little bit, if you're cool with that. But first, like, let's talk on that.
So, and this is something that you don't really know until you make I shouldn't say that. I didn't know until I made some good money. And that was that you can only buy yourself so much stuff, right?
True. That's very true.
And your wife would probably be in here to be like, I can't fucking buy him anything anymore because he buys whatever he wants. My wife says it all the time. She hates holidays and birthdays because they can't buy us anything.
Right. Yeah, just go to Cabela's.
Yeah, no shit. So the thing is you get to a point where you buy the cars you like, you buy the house you want, you buy all the shit that you want, and then you get to that place where it's like, I kind of bought everything. I mean, there's more shit to buy, but then at some point in your life, you give back, and you give to people who genuinely need it. And when you do that, there's a feeling that is like nothing else in this world. I'm an emotional person, but at the end of the day, there's nothing that makes me feel better about the human being that I am when I'm giving back to people in any capacity, right? Like homeless people or people who need education or people who just need my mentoring or people who need my money or my time or my love, my, whatever. I really enjoy the feeling that comes from giving back to people. And at the end of the day, man, money can fucking buy everything. Except money cannot buy you a relationship that is worthy of something so much greater. And something that I've preached to you, like as we've become close, is I'm telling you right now, the only thing that's important to me now is loyalty and trust and creating a relationship that is so much higher and better than anything in this world. And that comes from knowing that I'm loyal to you, knowing that I would do anything for you, and knowing that if you ever needed anything, that you could call on me and vice versa. Right? And no amount of money can buy that. It can't. I know. Like, there's been times where you've given people money and you expect at some point when you call them back to need something that they'll be there, and they're not. And at the end of the day, the only way to build is to entrust in people that you'll do it for them and that you want it from them. Right? And now in my life, like my two most important things is giving back to people and then creating relationships that are so much fucking higher than you're going to find in society. Like at the end of the day, I want to have relationships with people that is so high and highly sought after from others that's where I find my self-worth, my value, all of my energy. And you'll see, like tonight I told you I'm inviting you over to mix kava. I have deep roots in the Polynesian culture. And I have found a lot of Polynesians have that, what I just said. But you'll see tonight when you come, like, dude, I don't invite people over to my house to fucking party. Like, we're going to sit in a circle and we're going to drink kava. We're going to sing and we're going to do nothing but laugh. It's not a fucking party where you get drunk. It's not a who's who. It's nothing but a circle of love and trust and loyalty in friends who I now consider family. And I used to say this all the time. I don't have fucking friends. I have acquaintances and I have family. That's it. There's nothing in between. And people are like, well, does that mean you don't have any friends? No, because if you become a real friend, you just automatically become my family. And so to circle back to that question, like, dude, giving back gives me a feeling that I can't find anywhere else. And it also allows me to get into the relationships that I seek, which is, I don't even know what the word is, a higher vibe of a relationship.
Higher energy,
higher energy, higher frequency.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. And you can't find that anywhere, man. You just fucking can't. And maybe it all stems back to hearing myself say over and over that no one's coming to fucking help you. That maybe that's what I want. Maybe I want someone to come and help me. If something gets to the point where, and now I can't even say that without actually questioning it because I don't believe that anymore. Now in the relationships that I put myself in. Now normally, and the general public, I think that's true. But one of my very best friends, Rob Bailey.
Yeah.
Dude, the dude has just had a crazy life, and you should have him on the podcast because you'll just love him.
I'd love to.
But he used to say this all the time. He's an artist. He does songs, and his shit is. If you've never listened to his songs, like
that
dude,
gym out there is blasting with Rob.
He's my best friend, and I still listen to his shit. But in his music, he always talks about no one's coming to fucking save you.
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee you, if I sent him a text right now and said, "Do you still believe that?" He would say generally yes. But I know that if I needed you, Keaton, you would fucking be there to save me from anything.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Well, so that message right there, no one's coming to save you. That's the mentality of a leader.
Yeah.
That has to be the mentality of a leader. Is it true for the leader? Yes. Because at the end of the day, if you're a leader, if you're someone called to do something, which I believe everyone can do something great in this world. I believe everyone can achieve something great in this lifetime. No one was put on this fucking earth, this giant rock spinning around a ball of gassy sun, right? Or whatever, to do average shit, right? Everyone was put on here to do something, but it's the leader who has to maintain that mentality. That way you remember, like you're saying, no one, I cannot rely on anyone else to get this done but me. Yes, there will be people who can fight for me and can be there next to me, but at the end of the day, I cannot rely on that because then I'm delegating every responsibility off my shoulders. I'm called to do that. Yeah. When I was a kid, right, my nickname being the bull, right? My nickname used to be the fat bull, right? I was bullied heavily as a kid, right? And it wasn't until the day my dad told me literally that exact word, that exact phrase of, no one is coming to save you. And that, because that day when that was happening, what always filled my head as a kid was, why won't any of you help me? I constantly was asking that. I was getting beat up. I was having, I was puking. I was so scared of what was going to happen. I just wanted them to just fucking leave me alone. Yeah. That's all I fucking wanted, right? Mm-hmm. And I still feel it to this day, that raw feeling of, I don't want to go through this anymore. Someone please help me. Because you know what? We went and talked to the principal, talked to the teachers, talked to the parents, like anything. But at the end of the day, it still kept happening. And I kept asking myself over and over, because I just looked at all these kids watching, and I just asked, why won't any of you help me?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until my dad got that out of my head, said none of them will help you, but that's okay because you don't need them. You're going to have to be the Superman of your own tail. You're going to have to fucking make this happen on your own. And he literally kicked me out of the house, forced me out. Like he said, you have to go out there and beat that kid up, and or one of those kids, find one, and you can't come home until it's done. And it wasn't until after that moment that I realized that with maintaining that mindset of no one's coming to save you is the mentality of a leader, because you have to have that mindset in order to make a difference.
You have to.
Right? In order to be the one who will go and save them. If you aren't going to do that, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You're a fucking hypocrite if you don't go out there and help people. And like as a kid, I used to ask myself that, and like I donate heavily to Operation Underground Railroad. I think of the fact of how many people out there right here, right now, as we're sitting here, are asking that same question to God or to themselves in the mirror. They're saying, is there anyone out there who can fucking help me?
Yeah.
Because they feel lost, they feel betrayed. I think of these kids who are literally being sold into sex slavery. I know for a fact they're in the deepest of darkest of hells we could imagine, and they're asking themselves right now, why won't anyone help me?
Yeah.
And that the idea that someone else is feeling that on my watch, like the reason why you're an entrepreneur, my definition of entrepreneur is they see a problem and they take it personal.
Yeah.
And so they're going to do something about it. They're not going to sit back and wait for somebody else and tweets and thoughts and prayers. They're going to fucking make it happen because I know I can make it happen. I believe in myself that I can do that. And so naturally, if I can, I must. It's now become my duty to make that difference, to step in, no matter how, like what they do with the help after that. I have, it's off my conscience that I will make that happen. Yeah. Dude, like I fucking listen to you. But
I think that also answers the question for yourself, why you help. because you want to be that person to those people. Like, dude, I would imagine, because I've been there too. I wasn't bullied, dude. I was a big goofball, and I used to fight people, but I was never a bully. But I have been in positions in my life where I'm like, man, is no one gonna fucking help me?
Yeah.
And those positions were good because I was then asking myself, like, no one is. But I want to be that person to so many people.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I create the relationships that I do, because I don't want my friends to ever ask that question and not think of me first. And also why I help so much. I mean, dude, I could imagine, we did this last $1,000 tip thing, and it was with my football coach. How freaking great was that?
Awesome.
And the dude, he struggled. He's always struggled. We always remember, like, growing up as little kids, like, he rolled up in his 1970s Suburban, never had a ton of money. And I gotta think, like, how many times did he ask, like, is no one gonna fucking help me? And dude, at the end of the day, like, we make good money, but 15, 16 grand makes a fucking difference.
Huge difference.
And we gave him $16,000
in one night.
In one night. Like, you gotta believe that at one point he left there and was like, fuck, somebody showed up and helped me. Somebody did.
Yeah.
And dude, how often could I be that person? And maybe that's why I help so much. I mean, that and the selfish idea of the feeling that I get, because I love it, dude. I fucking love it. And I don't love it because it makes me greater or better or to tell people about it. I love it because of the way it makes me feel inside, which is what I'm chasing. And that's why I do it so much.
Right. I don't think you get that feeling so heavily had you not also experienced that pain yourself. It's that empathy that you now have for someone. When you see them going through pain, you are reminded of your own pain that you had to go through. And any human being will want to immediately help that person out of that so they won't have to experience what you went through. It's empathy. And empathy is a powerful thing. It can be taken advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people take advantage of that empathy, but either way, it's a powerful thing to drive a leader to want to be somebody, to become that dude who can actually make that difference.
Yeah.
Dude, So okay. That's one of my favorite topics in the world, by the way. Yeah. Like, that is what I wake up every day thinking of. That is like I'm constantly reminded of it because there's so much evil in this world, right? But I kind of, if you're cool with this, I want to pivot to ask you about the church.
Yeah.
We're both here, right? Two dudes, two entrepreneurs, full fucking sleeves, basically, right?
All the way down the body.
So here's what's super interesting about the church. We're from Utah, both serve missions, right? I actually love the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yeah. I love the principles of the church. By the way, everyone who's listening doesn't know what we're talking about, as someone would say, the Mormon Church or the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. I have always loved it. As a matter of fact, I still love and read the Book of Mormon every day, the Bible, right? I love the principles taught in the church, right? But what I've always hated was the culture of the church. Yeah. The same kids who were bullying me were also the kids at church, bearing their testimony about how their family models kindness. Yeah, exactly, right? And I hated going to church because at church I experienced bullying my whole life. Yeah. I literally hated church, but I love the principles because the principles are what made my dad who he is. The principles are what saved my dad's life, and my dad, being my hero, has now built this life for me, and I look at the church as it is, to me, the truth. Absolutely. Right. But I'm curious about, your thoughts on this, because you obviously, like, some people look immediately at the sleeve, right? This tattoo, which is almost a signal in Utah of not a good Mormon or, ex-Mormon or something like that. Mormon. Jack Mormon, right? Whatever you call it. Right. So I'm curious on your thoughts. I've actually never talked to you really about this.
So yeah, we haven't talked about it. My thoughts are really simple. Through my experience, have gained knowledge, right? And there's things that I believe to be true. And the truth of all of it is kind of summed up really, really simple. And that's the first thing I told you about God being our Father. Right. And the truth for me is that the Church of Jesus Christ, the Mormons, what is taught, the doctrine that is taught, not the culture, is the absolute closest thing to what I believe. So instead of, most people are like, why? the church teaches this, so let me see if I believe it. And rather, it's the other way around. Like, this is what I believe.
Yeah.
I believe that God is our Father. I believe we're His children. I believe He loves the shit out of us, which is crazy to even say in a sentence. Like, you know, and the reality of just that is so huge that people have no idea. And at the end of the day, if that's the truth, which I believe it is, everything becomes so much more simple. And man, I got to tell you, I don't like a lot of people in the church because I think they're self-righteous. I think they're stupid. And that's me judging.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, the principles that are taught, that God is our Father, that Jesus Christ our brother, that we are children of God, and that He loves us. That is the only principle that I cling to with every ounce of my being, that God loves us. If that's the truth, as a father, everything becomes so much more clear. And that's, I want my children to be happy. I want to protect them, but I want them to learn. So I have to allow them to learn.
Yes.
And you only learn through experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this alone. I want people to be with me. I want my family to be with me. And I want them to learn on their own pace and at their own rate. And I want them to learn without me telling them. I want them to gain experience.
Yeah.
I think that if I loved them, I would send them things and people to guide them, right? And at the end of the day, like I said, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the only one that works with what I believe. And the reality to that statement is much bigger than most people realize. I was a student of religion. When I was on my mission, and I tell you I memorized word for word the Bible, I did.
Yeah.
I also read the Quran 4 times.
Dude.
I went to a mosque.
Yeah.
In Seattle, it's a melting pot. And we actually shared a parking lot with a mosque at our stake center. So they would let us go in and enjoy the mosque with the Muslims. Dude, I read the Torah. I have spent countless hours and time with anti-Mormons, with atheists, with agnostics, with Christians, with non-denominational, with everybody.
Yep.
And I spent a lot of time with Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, I have a really good friend that's a Jehovah's Witness. But at the end of the day, I have studied. I have been studious in religion.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, there's only one church that follows what I believe in my heart. And that's that God is our Father, that He loves us. There is a lot of culture that's mixed in with the church today.
Yes. Right.
And I see it as it is.
Yeah.
I see it, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I think that Joseph Smith did some pretty fucked up shit.
I agree.
I think Joseph Smith was a very, very mistake-filled person. And I know a lot of people, especially anti-Mormons, cling to the fact that he was kind of a piece of shit. And even members of the church like that would hear me say, I was like, oh, how could you?
Right.
Listen, man, we're talking about the 18th century, and we're talking about a kid that lived on a farm.
Yeah.
Okay?
He
made some crazy, crazy decisions. He did some crazy shit. But at the end of the day, what he produced is what I believe. That's just what it is.
Right.
You want to tell me he was a polygamist? You want to tell me he did crazy shit? He told lies? Guess what? You do that. The people listening to this right now that make the huge judgment statement, Joseph Smith was this. Well, so are you. And you don't think that God would come to you and ask you to do something because you're a piece of shit?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He wouldn't be talking to any of us. We all are pieces of shit. So stop telling me what you believe about the person that he was and start telling me that you believe that God loves you enough as his child in your own mistakes to ask you to do things.
Yes.
And then tell me that you're perfect, because you're not.
Yes.
And that's what I believe, man. At the end of the day, like Joseph Smith was what he was. I don't worship him. I'm thankful that he did some cool stuff. I think when we all get back there, we're going to be like, dude, that was crazy. I can't believe he called you to be a prophet. You did some crazy shit. And dude, at the end of the day, like if God shows
He'll probably look at you and be like, so did you.
Yeah, dude, he will. And dude, if God came to me tomorrow and said, hey man, I need you to take care of these people. What a spit in my face would it be that those people that I took care of came back and said, wait, you had an affair on your wife. You're going to tell me God told you to do that? You've done some crazy shit. You've done some drugs. You've gotten drunk. You've been with women. You've done all kinds of shit. Yeah. And God told you to do those things? No, he didn't tell you to come take care of me. He didn't tell you to do those things. You know what? At the end of the day, you cannot stand here and tell me you disagree with the church if you believe the Bible. And this is why I say that.
Yes. Amen.
This is why I say that. Not because the Bible isn't filled with a ton of crazy shit. But dude, if you believe that Saul, who was a murderer.
I was literally waiting to say that.
Like, if you think that Saul, who murdered people, became a prophet, and then you're not okay with what Joseph Smith did, listen, man, I know why you're mad. You're mad because you grew up in a church that put him on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Shame on the church. Shame on the people.
Right.
Joseph Smith was the normal person. He did a lot of fucked up shit.
Right.
But so did Saul, and Saul was much worse.
Saul was a mass murderer.
He did.
Of Christians.
He killed people.
And he was still called of God.
And if you think...
And if you read the Bible and like his stuff.
Yeah, dude, if you think back in the time, dude, how crazy would it have been if you watched this guy named Saul come into your house, kill everybody you know, and then like 3 weeks later, he changes his name and he's an apostle of God? No. But if you can accept that, then you can't sit here and say that Joseph Smith, in all his crazy bullshit, wasn't called of God. Yeah. Because at no point did God say, I called you and you were qualified.
Yep.
And dude, and the truth too, like, there's a lot of times that I kneel before God that he asks me to do things that are good. And how unfair it is when I go do those things that those people judge me for the things that I've done in my past. So how do I feel about the church? I believe that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is, in my own belief, the only thing that I can reconcile. I don't really worship or care about what Joseph Smith did, but I do know that the book that he brought forth has changed my life, has taught me a ton of shit, is really good. I believe that if you can believe the Bible, it's pretty easy to believe the Book of Mormon.
True.
I spent the last 6 months of my mission, I was an assistant, and I spent on the University of Washington campus in a religions class, and they would have me in every Tuesday. And the last month of my mission, we met in a stage of about 250 students. On stage, there was 5 of us, 4 plus me, of an atheist, a Jewish rabbi, a Muslim, and then a non-denominational Christian. I think there was a Southern Baptist. And we all met and we had discussions. And man, at the end of the day, no matter what faith you are, you're accepting that there's somebody up there that you can't hear, you can't see, you have no real connection to. In and of that, that's craziness.
Yeah.
So if you can accept that, so obviously this whole conversation is different if you're atheist. If you're just like, dude, it's all crazy, and then okay, I can accept that one. Right. I can accept it. Yeah. But man, you can't be half in and then turn around and be like, oh, Joseph Smith, and you're the God you believe is crazy. And it's like, well, hold on, man. Yeah. I can pull up any religion at any point and be like, dude, this is crazy that you believe this. Or I could step back and go, nah, I'm going to bypass all of that, man. All I really care about is who are you as a person? Yeah. What do you do? And the religion that you follow, what does it bring forth in you? Yeah. And to me, the church has brought forth so much good in me and has helped me out of so much wickedness. Yeah. I mean, because dude, I'm a bad dude. I don't say that lightly. I did a lot of bad shit. Yeah. I've done a lot of bad things, and there's still dark parts of me that to get better. But man, I got to say that the church and my mission and what that teaches, that God is our Father, and man, I'll tell you, that's what I cling to. If he really loves me, if he really, really loves me, then he just wants me to be happy. I'm not going to accept all the other craziness that's being taught. I'm just not, and I never will, not till I stand before him. But I do know when I stand before him, he's going to say, hey, man, that was crazy, right? I love you. I really do love you, and I'm really proud of you, and I want you to feel my love, and we're going to just keep going. We're just going to keep progressing, and I think that's the only conversation that we're going to have when we go. Dude. I really do.
You said like all these things you kept saying. I was literally holding my head like, oh, I'm going to say this was you, and then you say it, I'm like holy shit, I'm like Saul of Tarsus and the whole thing, because like dude, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Like I was at my mission was in Texas, Texas, San Antonio. All you T-Sammers, if you listen to me anymore, like shout out, right? But like what I met in Texas was a lot of good people who were not Mormon.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Utah. And I started meeting a lot of amazing people who were not Mormon. And I read in the Quran. I also obviously studied the Book of Mormon like crazy. My mission president was a incredible man who just like dove into the studies of the Bible and the Book of Mormon. And you know what I learned? I learned there's a lot of scripture out there. There's the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The Apocrypha has a lot of scripture that for some reason we just don't incorporate because
of the Nicene Creed. They were like, nah, we don't need it.
The Nicene, exactly.
Let's just put it all together.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's still scripture out there that we haven't found or don't exactly incorporate. Yeah. There's a lot of incredible scripture out there that isn't just in this one little book that King James wrapped up and now we've got, through production and books and you just go into the history of it, right? And I look at them like, well, the Book of Mormon is for sure one of them. Yeah. The Bible's one of them. But guess what? There's things in Book of Mormon. People are like, well, what about this? I go, well, guess what? You ever read Songs of Solomon? You really think that's literally his songs about his concubines, right? You want to talk about polygamy?
It's crazy.
What about Solomon? What about King David? Like all
There's
these, like
kinds of stuff.
Some of prophets had concubines, some of them didn't, right? Yeah. Saul of Tarsus was literally a mass murderer, called of God to now be a prophet, and we preach his stuff in the Bible because it's scripture from God, right? Yeah. And I look at Brigham Young, I look at Joseph Smith, I look at what they produce, some incredible teachings. Also, I looked at them like, I don't know about that one.
That was a crazy one.
Like, damn, dude.
I mean, Brigham Young was a crazy dude.
He was crazy motherfucker. Oh, yeah.
He was hard, dude.
Very bad.
I mean, and you had to be.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, did he bring forth good stuff? I believe he did. Did he also bring forth some crazy shit? I think he did.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, like nobody at any point ever said that God was going to call someone that was going to walk the earth perfect.
Right. It'd be cool if God could call the perfect ones.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
That'd be great. But you know what, dude? I actually talked with somebody the other day about this. Why do you think when Christ came, he spent time with sinners? Or self-proclaimed sinners.
Why didn't he sit down with the Pharisees or Sadducees?
Because at the end of the day, people that go through shit know more.
Yes.
People who have been through shit are better people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people surrounded in my life that had life easy.
Right.
I like people who were addicted to drugs and overcame it. I like people who have a bad past and figured out how to get better. Yeah. I like people that were progressing then and they're progressing now. And I sure as hell don't like people who believe that they're better or greater than someone else.
Yes.
And I think that Christ, when he comes again, he's not going to be with the bishops and the stake presidents, and he's not going to be wandering around the church. He's probably going to be with people like you and I that accept that we're fucking idiots, that we did stupid shit. We're still going to do stupid shit. And we believe very, very wholeheartedly in the stuff that he preached. And dude, listen, I'm a tough guy and I will never give in to somebody. But I'll tell you this, when Christ comes again, I'll be the first one on my hands and knees, man. I'll be the first one to accept it and go, listen, I was pretty bad. I love you. I always loved you. I stayed true to those things, but man, I was a bad dude, And hopefully at that point, the truth of he's our Father and he sent Jesus Christ and he loves us and he looks at us and he says, I love you too. And I wanted you to learn. And the things that you learned is what I needed you to learn so you could progress to become more happy and like me, which is what it is.
Dude, we've dropped some fire on this episode, bro. All right, brother. If there's one thing you'd want to leave this audience with, what would it be?
You know what? It's actually what I'm going to talk about at AlphaCon. And it's a very simple principle. And I cling to this hard. If it scares you, if it puts fear in you, you need to lean into it. I have a saying now, because I've spoke at a few expos and I don't know why I always say it, but I coin the phrase "fuck fear" and get to work. And if there's any one message that I would ever want to leave with somebody that I don't know that is aspiring to become something great, it's fuck fear and get to work. And whether you want to be in a good relationship, whether you want to be successful, whether you want to make money, whether anything. The things that are scaring you, that are bringing fear, that are pushing fear into you, you need to lean into them. And the more you lean into the fear, the more success you will find. So when you're comfortable, you're in the wrong. when you're fearing and you're nervous and it's scaring you, you're going down the right path. And that's what I would leave with anyone that I had met off the street. Like, dude, chase the fear. Fuck it. And then go to work.
Fuck yeah, bro. Jeez. Well, I can't tell you how grateful I am that obviously you're on, but just more so, you already know, I'm grateful for you as a friend, bro. Absolutely. I've said that to you multiple times, and I mean it with all my heart. Like, I'm grateful for who you are as, just a good dude.
Thanks, man. I feel the same way. Same thing, and we've had these conversations, and we don't need to have them again, but, same thing, dude. I'm very appreciative of our friendship, and for those people that are listening, like, man, if you want to get better in your life, fucking find good people.
Amen.
Find them.
Yeah. Amen. Love it. Every one of you, go follow this dude, because obviously you just, what we just fucking listened to with like the gold, but go follow this dude. He's doing incredible things, not only to help people in his businesses. We didn't even dive into what you're doing with One Mission Nutrition, with all like the new testosterone stuff that you got coming out. Like there's some revolutionary stuff we didn't even get a touch on.
No,
right?
Man, it's good. So, I like to have real deep conversations.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I want to plug my businesses, but I don't give a shit about that. When you do a podcast, I want people to hear shit.
Yeah. I agree. We'll link it all either way
for sure.
It'll all be linked in the bio. If you don't know who this guy is, you already now know. Go follow him, the.muscle on Instagram. If you see a guy with millions of followers and he's fucking huge, that's him. Dude, love you, man. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Love you, brother.
Truly. Thank you, bro.